you check the children. Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, and today I'm here to talk to you about the brand new horror feature, It Lives Inside. This is a 2023 supernatural horror film written and directed by Bishal Dutta and starring Megan Suri as Sam. Now, this film did debut at South by Southwest, the film festival, of course, but was ultimately released by Neon on September 22nd, 2023. And this film has to do with the East Asian culture, the Indian culture, and one of their known demons. So basically the story follows Sam, who's an American high school student of Indian origins, who rejects her Indian heritage to become like everyone else. I'm reading from the wiki here, but that does basically cover it. So Sam is not necessarily rejecting her original culture, but she is trying to assimilate more to the American culture. And then when a demonic spirit known as the Pishash latches on to her former best friend, she has to come to terms with her heritage in order to ultimately try and defeat this entity. Now, what I loved about this film is that it was really well crafted and really based in the folklore of the culture. And that's what's really entertaining to me as a horror fan at this point. I've seen so many horror movies over the years that what really stand out to me are the movies that really come from a particular culture. They're of creatures or beings or entities or stories that I have not seen before, you know, being in America my whole life. So this is the kind of thing that when it makes it over to our side of the pond, so to speak, I always take note because they tend to be really, really quality. And this is no different. I mean, the acting in this film was phenomenal. The story was really entertaining. Same lines as like Smile or anything along those sort of ominous thing looming over you throughout the film. This film does it in spades, but in a unique way. And that's all you can ask for from horror films nowadays. So I will say that starting off, the story of the film was very entertaining. I mean, my overall thoughts, as we normally do for our reviews here on the channel, are our overall thoughts, then the story, the acting, the effects, all that good stuff in turn. My overall thoughts are that this film is very much worth your time. It does a really great job, and it's not dissimilar from a couple of the other films from this year, i.e. Boogeyman and even Cobweb. So it's one of those things where they do a really great job of building up a creature or an entity, and then in the third act they kind of show a lot of it. So I don't know if that bothers you, then it may bother you here as well, but ultimately I really enjoy those films, those specific films from this year. I really enjoyed, and this joins that little pantheon. I think that they did a wonderful job with It Lives Inside. I was riveted throughout story-wise. I was engaged during all of the scary parts, and the sound design and the gore were tremendous throughout. So this is a really, really well-crafted film, and I'm glad that it got a studio release. I'm unfortunately bummed that I was literally the only one in the theater at a 2 o'clock showing on Friday night. So that's a bummer, right? I'm one person in a theater of like probably, 60 to 100 seats. And I really enjoyed the film, but no one else was there to see it. So it's kind of a bummer, but that's part of why I wanted to let everyone know that it is worth your time. This film is really entertaining. The effects are done well, and I think you should take your time to watch it. So story-wise, it's about this young girl named Sam, who is, she's from Indian descent, and she's trying to make her way in a American school system, and she's lost a bit of her national sort of, reverence, so to speak, towards the Indian culture and things like that. And it turns out to be really interesting because she has a close friend that's also of that culture, but that close friend has gone off the deep end recently, and the character's name is Tamira, and she's carrying around a jar. This is all shown in the trailer. She's carrying around a glass jar that she is obsessed with, and nobody knows why. And ultimately, the jar gets smashed at one point, which releases an entity that causes problems for the rest of the film. But it was such a really well done setup that, you know, our main character, Sam, who used to be friends with Tamira comes to her for help, and she's the one that actually kind of smashes the vessel, releasing the entity. And it's how does the entity mess with Sam's life going forward from that point. And it's so entertaining. It's so engaging. The cinematography is phenomenal, quite frankly, by Matthew Lin. Matthew Lin did a wonderful job on the camera lens with, obviously, Bishal's directorial direction. And I think the film was really phenomenal. And so moving into the acting of it all, we had, obviously, Megan Suri playing Sam. We had Niru Pajwa as Purna. We had Mohana Krishnan as Tamira. And Vic Sae as Inesh. Forgive me if I'm butchering any of these pronunciations, but the point I'm driving at is that every actor in the film was very well done. They had a great place. They felt natural to the story, and I actually was really bought in on a lot of the characters that had things happen that I didn't think I'd be bought in on. So the supporting cast was phenomenal outside of Megan as Sam, and I think it only helped the film ultimately. So direction-wise and cinematography-wise, again, I mentioned Matthew Lin, but between him and Bishal, they did such a wonderful job getting this world across to us, getting our world across to us, but with the fact that this Pishash is out there and causing havoc. And they did a really wonderful job presenting this world in a way that was so easily bought into. The film was edited tremendously by Jack Price, and then the music by Wesley Hughes. This film was just really, really well made, quite frankly. It's A tier, if not S tier, as far as horror movies go. The issue is it does boil down to a sort of creature feature, and if you are extremely strict on your creatureness, then you might not enjoy the very end of the film as much as some other people will. But honestly, I think that it struck the perfect line throughout, and the story told the story the best way it needed to be told. And if there was a bit of, you know, not quite fully representing everything in that sense, then, you know, it is what it is. But the film itself did such a good job with representation overall that you can't really get mad at that, to be honest with you. So It Lives Inside was phenomenal. The sound design was phenomenal because it would lead you to believe that something was coming, and they made you believe that there was a giant creature just out of frame so many times and so effectively that you have to shout out the sound team, because my God, they built an atmosphere that was so unnerving and so easy to fall into that I can't even describe it. The sound design team, the musical score team, my God, it was all so fucking phenomenal in this film. So yeah, guys, ultimately, It Lives Inside, I think, is worth your time if you're a creature fan. If you are someone that likes the more allusion to creatures than the direct vision of them, you might not like it as much. There's some aspects that I feel like some people might dock points for, but I wouldn't. I think that this film did an excellent job. It represented what it wanted to represent. It kept it engaging. It kept it monstrous. It kept it interesting. And dude, some of the decisions that they made when they were making certain scenes, the closet with the clothing and the eyes watching, depending on whether the flashlight is on them or not. Oh, it's such an unnerving scene and so well done that I just have to give credit where credit's due. It Lives Inside is a phenomenal horror movie, and I hope a lot of people go and watch this. And if they don't go and watch it, I hope it has a huge life on VOD because, man, It Lives Inside is a wonderful horror movie. So I think that's going to cover it, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.